Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. We talk a lot about horror on this channel, but the real horror out there is how easy it is for your data to fall in the hands of disreputable people. That's why today's video is sponsored by Aura. While you're enjoying today's spooky video, data brokers, those things that go bump on the web, could already be selling your information to scanners, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, your health records, your relatives, they could all be out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests, just for me. It was simple to use and very intuitive, and I had barely gotten out of the setup process, and it was already blocking over 20 data broker requests on my behalf. Aura protects your passwords, your banking information, everything you need for day-to-day online life. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use my information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, other sensitive information. Things like a certain YouTube channel that you all enjoy listening to so much. Aura also does much more to protect me and my family from online threats, the kind you can't see. It comes with other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more, without having to download several different apps. It really is just that easy to set up, and best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I hear you saying, but Dr. Plague, I have one or two of these tools already. But, dear readers, not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Readers of my fine tales can tell you why that never ends well. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks like finishing my latest book or uploading my most recent video. I value my privacy, and I know you value yours. You can go to aura.com, that's AURA.com, to start your 2-week free trial. You can also check out the link below and start your free trial with Aura. So why not give Aura a try and protect yourself from the real monsters out there? Lewis and I were identical in nearly every way. We shared the same sandy hair, the same piercing eyes, even the same mischievous grin that drove our parents up the wall. Growing up, we were two halves of a whole, our lives so intertwined that it was impossible to imagine one of us without the other. We did everything together. Everything. Whether it was exploring the woods behind our house, playing endless games of basketball in the driveway, or staying up late into the night whispering secrets and dreams. We were inseparable. Even our friends and teachers struggled to tell us apart, and we loved to play pranks, swapping places, watching confusion unfold. Our bond was more than just physical. It was almost telepathic. We had our own language of glances and gestures, a silent communication that only we understood. It was comforting, knowing that no matter what happened, we always had each other. But we weren't just best friends. We were rivals, too. There was always a healthy competition between us, whether it was for better grades, faster race times, or who could tell the best jokes. Lewis had a natural charm that drew people in, while I was more introspective, preferring to observe and think before acting. Despite our differences, we completed each other perfectly. As we got older, our interests began to diverge. Lewis became passionate about music, spending hours in his room practicing guitar, while I threw myself into sports, determined to make the varsity basketball team. Still, our bond remained unshaken, and we always found time for our shared adventures. One of our favorite traditions was the annual summer camping trip with our dad. Every year, we would pack up the car and head to the same remote campsite, far away from the noise and distraction of everyday life. Those trips were magical, filled with late-night ghost stories around the campfire, fishing in the clear, cool lake, and hiking through the dense forest trails. It was during one of these trips that we discovered an old abandoned cabin deep in the woods. The place was, well, it was a wreck, with broken windows and a collapsed roof, but to us, it was a treasure trove of possibilities. We spent hours exploring, pretending it was our secret hideout, a place where we could escape from the world and just be ourselves, whoever we wanted to be. As the years passed, the cabin became our sanctuary. Whenever life got too overwhelming, we would sneak away, escaping to our secret refuge. It was there that we had some of our deepest conversations, sharing our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our plans for the future. But everything changed on that cold December night. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, filled with warmth and laughter. We had just finished decorating the Christmas tree, a tradition that always brought our family together. The house was filled with the scent of pine and cinnamon, the soft glow of fairy lights, casting a cozy ambience. Lewis and I had been arguing earlier that day about something trivial. Who got to put the star on top of the tree? It was a silly, childish argument, but it left a lingering tension between us. We barely spoke during dinner, each of us nursing our bruised egos. The fire started in the basement, in the room where our father kept the woodworking tools. We didn't notice it at first, too engrossed in our own worlds. It wasn't until the smoke alarm went off that we realized something was wrong. My father sprang into action, shouting for us to get out. The smoke was thick, filling the house with a choking haze. Lewis and I were upstairs, and as we tried to make our way down, the flames erupted, blocking our path. Panic set in, the reality of the situation hitting us hard. My father reached me first, his strong arms pulling me through the smoke and flames. I screamed for Lewis, but my voice was drowned out by the roaring fire. I caught a glimpse of him at the top of the stairs, his eyes wide with fear. Our gaze locked for what felt like an eternity. Then he was gone, swallowed up by the inferno. The fire department arrived too late. Our house, once a place of warmth and love, was reduced to ashes. Lewis, my other half, was gone forever. The grief that followed was indescribable, a constant ache that settled in my chest and refused to leave. My mom fell into a deep depression, her vibrant spirit extinguished. She would sit for hours, staring at old photographs of Lewis, her tears flowing freely. My father threw himself into his work, using it as a distraction from the unbearable pain. As for me, I was lost, wandering through life like a shadow of my former self. For a moment, it seemed like life might return to some semblance of normalcy. But then strange things started happening. It began with small, almost insignificant occurrences, flickering lights, unexplained hotspots in the house, the smell of smoke with no apparent source. At first, we dismissed them as coincidence, but the incidents became more frequent, more terrifying. The first real tragedy struck about a year after the fire. My mother was alone at home, lighting a candle in Lewis's memory, something she did every day. According to the fire report, it was a freak accident. The candle tipped over, igniting the curtains. By the time the fire department arrived, the house was engulfed in flames. My mother didn't make it out. Her death shattered us. My father and I were consumed by grief, barely able to function. We moved into a small apartment, hoping for a fresh start. But the fires followed us. Next was my father. He was a careful man, meticulous in his habits. One night, as he worked late in his home office, the apartment building caught fire. The cause was never determined. My father died trying to save other tenants. I was alone, the last surviving member of my family. The fear and paranoia became my constant companion. I was convinced that Lewis's spirit was behind the fire, seeking vengeance for his untimely death. The thought of my twin brother, once my closest friend, turned into a vengeful spirit was almost too much to bear. I tried to escape, moving from place to place, never staying in one spot for too long. No matter where I went, the fires followed me. I started seeing Lewis everywhere, in reflections, in dreams, in the flickering shadows of candlelight. His presence was a constant reminder of the past, a haunting specter that refused to let me go. One night, I woke up to find my bedroom filled with smoke. The fire alarm blared and flames licked at the walls. I stumbled out of bed, coughing and disoriented, but there was no way out. The door was blocked by fire. The windows were sealed shut. I was trapped. That's when I saw him, Lewis, standing there amidst the flames, his eyes filled with sorrow and rage. He didn't speak, but I felt his anger, his pain. I knew then that I had to confront him, to find a way to make amends. Lewis, I'm so sorry. His expression softened, the flames around him flickering and dimming. For a moment, it seemed he might forgive me, but then his face twisted in pain, and the flames roared back to life. I knew I had to do more. I should have saved you, I cried, tears streaming down my face. It should have been me. I miss you every day. Please, Lewis, let me make this right. The flames around us seemed to waver, and Lewis stepped closer. I could see the pain in his eyes, the torment that had consumed him. I reached out, my hands passing through the flames, and touched his ghostly form. In that moment, a wave of memories washed over me. Our childhood, the laughter, the shared dreams. I felt his pain, his anger, but also his love. The connection we had as twins, stronger than anything, was still there, buried beneath the sorrow and the anger. I love you, Lewis, I whispered. I always have. Please, let go of the anger. Let go of the pain. His eyes met mine for the first time since the fire, and I saw a flicker of recognition of the brother I had lost. The flames around us began to fade, the heat dissipating. Lewis's form grew faint, the anger in his eyes replaced by deep, abiding sadness. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't mean to hurt you. Tears blurred my vision, and I nodded, unable to speak. In that moment, I felt a profound sense of peace, a release from the torment that had plagued us both. Lewis's form faded, the last remnants of the fire extinguishing with him. The room was silent, the air clear. I was alone, but I felt a sense of closure, a peace that had eluded me for so long. I knew that Lewis had finally found rest, that I could begin to heal. The days that followed were difficult, filled with grief and memories, but I no longer felt the oppressive presence of my brother's spirit. The fires had stopped, and for the first time since that tragic night, I felt a glimmer of hope. I still think of Lewis every day. You're still here. Thanks so much for joining us for tonight's spooky tale. If you'd like a little bit more spooky in your life, why not click on one of the videos that appears at the end of our story? Or maybe head on over to one of our playlists where you can get your fill of spooky content. If you like your spooky a little more tactile, I've got a new book that's come out. If you'd like your own copy, there's a link below in the description where you can get your own copy of my spooky book. If you like what you see here on the channel and think you might like to support in a more monetized way, then why not come over to Patreon or become a member on YouTube? Speaking of, let's go ahead and thank our members now. Thanks to Civ Garstad, Unicorn Hollow, and Army Dude for being our Spooky Ghost contributors. Thanks to Janet, Lee Kendall, Saikat, Ronda J, Sue Casper, and Valinator for being our Spooky Skeleton contributors. And thanks to Oh Snap, Hi Stacy, Winter, Xaronan, Stephanie Carrington, Tyler Parker, Cinnamon Fox, Grim Reaper, TomBoiTopUwU, and Queen Sheebah for being our Ghostly Reader tier contributors. And a big thanks to Scott Donahue for being our Ghostly Writer tier contributor. Thanks, everyone. We just couldn't do the show without you. If you'd like to support the channel, then come on down to Patreon or become a member on YouTube. Spooky Skeleton tier contributors, that's our $5 tier, get their spooky 12 hours early at 8:30 a.m. as opposed to 8:30 p.m. My time, of course. And while Ghostly Reading is only a tier that's available on Patreon, you get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one on your doorstep in, hopefully, a timely manner. If you'd like a book, we have many on Amazon. I've got links below if you'd like to follow those. Should get you to my page so you can buy any one of my 8 books I believe we're up to now. I'm sure they'd look really nice on your shelf, and I'll sign them for you if you can find me out in the wild. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.